Silence is not weakness. In today's dating world, it's one of the strongest moves a man can make. Most guys mess up by talking too much, texting too fast, explaining themselves, and over-communicating just to keep a woman interested. That's a losing game. The more you chase, the more she pulls away. The more you try to fix, the more she watches you fall apart. But the moment you go quiet, that's when everything changes. A man who goes quiet sends a signal she can't ignore. It's not just about stopping the text or holding back on calls. It's about pulling your energy back, shutting down the validation, and letting her feel the space you've created. That silence, it drives her insane. She starts wondering what's going on in your mind. Why aren't you chasing like every other guy? Why are you suddenly so distant, so hard to reach? That confusion flips a switch in her head, and now you have the power. Going quiet puts you back in control without saying a single word. It creates mystery. It forces her to think, to reflect, and most importantly, to feel your absence. And when a woman starts feeling instead of just thinking, that's when she becomes emotionally invested. This isn't about playing games. It's about using your masculine energy the right way. When you become silent, you make her question everything. She rethinks how she's been treating you. She replays your last conversation. She stalks your social media. That silence echoes louder than any message you could ever send. If you want to reset the power dynamic, build desire, and make her crave your presence, go quiet. Let's break down how it works and why it's the most effective move a man can make. 1. Silence triggers curiosity. When a man goes quiet, he forces a shift in the energy. Most men don't understand this, but women are not wired to chase noise. They chase silence. Noise is predictable. It's the constant texting, checking in, saying good morning every day like clockwork. She sees it coming. She knows you're always available, and deep down, she loses interest because of it. But the moment that noise disappears and you stop pouring out your attention, her mind starts doing something powerful. It starts asking questions. A woman becomes curious when she doesn't know where she stands with you. That curiosity is not light. It turns into mental obsession when handled correctly. It starts with small thoughts. Is he mad at me? Why hasn't he called? Did I say something wrong? Then it grows. She checks your page. She reads into old conversations. She starts paying attention to things she used to ignore, and now she's locked in even if she doesn't want to be. Curiosity is the spark. It gets her out of comfort. Women only grow emotionally attached to what keeps them emotionally unsettled. That doesn't mean you treat her poorly. It means you don't give her the comfort of always knowing what's going on in your head. Silence creates that unknown. It holds back your cards. And when you do that, she starts to notice everything else more. She re-watches your body language in her head. She replays your words. That's how emotional hooks are built. And here's what men need to realize. Curiosity leads to investment. A woman who's trying to figure you out is already thinking about you more than she wants to admit. She may not show it, she may act unbothered, but trust this. When you go quiet, her emotions start to activate, because it's no longer just about you. It's about why you're suddenly quiet. That why is what drives her crazy. Women don't like uncertainty, but they're addicted to it when it comes from a man they can't fully read. That addiction becomes the fuel. She'll look for signs. She'll test you. She'll drop a text just to check if you'll respond the same way you used to. But you won't. You're not being rude. You're being still. You're not reacting. You're making her feel your absence. That's where your power is. You don't have to talk to make her think about you. You just have to disappear at the right moment. The man who speaks less is not weak. He's the man who triggers more thoughts, more feelings, and more desire than the man who never shuts up. Silence makes her chase because it gives her something to figure out. Say less. Do less. Watch how much more she feels. 2. She assumes you're moving on. When you go quiet, her mind doesn't just wonder where you are. It starts imagining the worst case scenario. You're done, you've moved on, you don't care anymore. And believe it or not, that thought alone can break her down emotionally. Because here's the truth, most women don't realize what they had until they feel like they've lost it. Silence sends that exact message. It doesn't explain, it doesn't justify, it just vanishes. And that disappearance hits her pride, her ego, and her emotions all at once. She starts thinking you've replaced her. She imagines you giving your attention to someone else, and that thought, it haunts her. She'll never say it out loud, but deep down, it eats at her, especially if she's the one who was acting cold, distant, or uninterested before. Women expect men to keep showing up no matter how badly they behave. So when you stop, it shakes her reality. Now she's asking herself questions she never had to before. Was I too distant? Did he get tired of me? Is he entertaining someone else? And even if none of that is true, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the possibility is now living rent-free in her head. She can't shake it. That's the power of silence. It lets her create her own torment. And the best part begins to crack. A woman who was once in control of the dynamic now starts feeling unsure. She replays her last few moves. She rethinks the things she said or didn't say, because if you're gone without warning, it means you're capable of living without her. And to a woman who's used to attention, that realization is terrifying. She may not text you right away. She may even post something pretending she's unbothered. But watch closely. Her tone changes. Her energy shifts. She might accidentally like an old photo. She might suddenly reply to a story or send a random check-in. That's not coincidence. That's her testing the waters to see if she still matters. And you'll know she's affected when she does things out of character, things she never did when you were chasing. Understand this. Women don't chase men. They're sure they still have. They chase the ones who've shown they can walk away and not look back. Your silence says more than any long text or argument could. It says, I don't need this anymore. And that's when she realizes she does. Most men fold too soon. They break the silence just to get her reaction. That's weakness. Real strength is in letting her sit with the idea that you're no longer available. When you hold the line and don't rush back in, you flip the script. You're no longer the one seeking attention. You become the one she's afraid to lose. Say nothing. Let her feel the weight of your absence. 3. She becomes emotionally unstable. When you go quiet, you're not just removing your words, you're removing your energy. And that shift causes a reaction inside her that she can't fully control. Emotionally, women are tuned into attention. They rely on it. They read into tone, rhythm, and consistency. When you suddenly stop talking, you disrupt her emotional rhythm. You pull the plug on the signal she's been depending on to feel validated, admired, and in control. That silence creates emotional confusion, and confusion leads to instability. She starts experiencing emotional highs and lows. One minute she's angry, the next she's anxious, and then she feels the need to prove something. It's all because she's no longer sure how you feel, and that uncertainty makes her spiral internally. She may go from not caring at all to checking her phone every hour, hoping to see your name pop up. She might reread old messages, watch your stories on social media multiple times, or talk about you to her friends more than she ever did when you were in contact. And the irony is this: she might have acted like she didn't need you when you were fully available. But the moment you withdrew your presence, she started realizing how dependent she had become on your consistency. That realization doesn't sit well with her. It challenges her ego. It makes her feel out of control, and no woman wants to feel that way, especially not over a man she thought she had figured out. Emotional instability doesn't always show on the outside. She might try to mask it with pride or act unaffected, but the truth is in her behavior. She'll start doing things that seem small but mean a lot. Subtle reaches for your attention, trying to trigger a reaction. She might start dressing differently, posting more, or even pretending she's happy without you, all in hopes that you'll notice and break the silence. What she doesn't understand is that every move she makes out of frustration or desperation only proves how deeply your silence is affecting her. You haven't argued, you haven't insulted her, you haven't begged or pleaded, you just went quiet. And that quiet is hitting her harder than any emotional outburst ever could. This is where most men make a mistake. They break the silence too early because they see signs that she's reacting. But patience is your weapon here. The longer she sits in that unstable emotional space, the more she starts attaching those feelings to you. And that's when she becomes more emotionally invested than ever before. Not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't say. Let her emotions stir. Let her feel that storm. You're not being toxic. You're being disciplined. You're teaching her that your presence is not guaranteed, and that lesson sticks. Once a woman learns that you don't beg, chase, or explain, she starts valuing every moment she once took for granted.